And I'm just going to introduce them, the three of them at once, so that I can sit and just allow the reading to flow. Because I don't actually like introducing one person and then sitting, then coming again to introduce the next. I just love the way the poetry tends to work out fine when I allow, the three poets to just read. And we're going to begin with Mildred Rice, followed by Niina Pollari, and then Glenis Redmond. And here is the brief information I have about them, which I'm sure you saw on the flyer. And after each person's bio, there's a website where you can follow them and also follow them on social media and find out a lot of other exciting things that they are doing. So Mildred Rice, she's the author of Forever 88, which came out from Press 53. And Molly has held several residencies teaching poetry, storytelling, theater, film, and English as a second language in hundreds of schools, colleges, and organizations in North Carolina, the United States, Ireland, Russia, and Hungary. She has taught for 17 years at St. Stephen's High School. That is remarkable, where she is the director of the Tractor Shed Theater. She's published in magazines, including Fortnight Magazine, The Stinging Fly, and Iodine Poetry Journal. She resides with her husband and son in Hickory, North Carolina. And our second reader, Niina Pollari, author of Path of Totality, which came out of Soft Skull. She is also the author of Dead Horse, and Path of Totality was just listed by the New York Times as one of their favorite poetry books of the year. I think we should. She translates Finnish poetry from time to time. Her work has appeared in Granta, Poetry Magazine, Spokelet, Catapult, and elsewhere. And she lives in Marshall, which is not so far from here, with her family. And then our last reader is going to be Glenis Redmond, author of The Listening Skin, which is her latest book. And she happens to be the first poet laureate of Greenville, South Carolina. A Kennedy Center teaching artists and Akavekanim alumni. The Listening Skin came out of 4-Way Books, and it is her 6th poetry book. She is presently working on a 7th collection. I need to ask her how she does all this, right? She is presently working on a 7th collection, Pot Series, Portals of the Second Domestic Middle Passage. She received the highest arts award in South Carolina, the Governor's Award, and was inducted into the South Carolina Academy of Authors. Redmond also received her MFA in poetry from Warren Wilson College. So it is my honor to welcome our first reader, Mildred Rice.
Wonderful to be here. And thank you to Malaprop's Mildred and Stephanie for organizing and being with amazing poets today. So I'll be reading from Forever 88. And a lot of people ask me, what's up with the title? Because it's kind of unusual. And so I'd like to read first the preface, because the number 88 has been robbed from us by white supremacists. And so I really wanted to redeem those numbers because they actually mean love. 88. Amateur radio shorthand and CB lingo for love and kisses. Math's untouchable palindromic mirrored 4-way number. Radium's atomic number. The sky's number of constellations. Days it takes Mercury to complete its orbit. Chinese text message, bye-bye and good fortune. Bingo's call, 2 fat ladies. Black and whites is one nickname for the piano and 88s is another. The speed it takes to get back to the future. Hip hop, 8th letter, H, HH, 88. Dead man's poker, hand in poker, aces and 8s, a German gun, Interstate 88, brush-footed butterflies and 2 genera, wing stand. The Navy slang for what? Morse code, the love heart emoji of 1879, but not a Nazi salute. I take back the 8 and the 8, HH. No Helling Hitler, dismantle hate. Only forever love is 88's XOXO.
Nice.
White Christmas. I love February. February is Black History Month and the month of love. So I'll be reading a few poems in that vein. And love for me is actually grief. So grief is love for me. I've lost everyone, pretty much all my ancestors, all my loved ones. And so I'll celebrate them today. White Christmas. Behind the gutted trailer, I rode my new bike, stopped at the side of strewn trash. I kicked my kickstand into the soft grass. Pot holders, pots and pans, pencils, receipts, telephone bills, and a red Christmas garland torn in half. The kitchen drawer upside down. I moved it to sit on it to save my jeans from the wet red mud. I booted something under my feet, lifted it, and sat. A black Santa, painted on plywood with a hole and a bit of string. First thought, he's just covered in coal, soot from the chimney. But then it rang through me like Presbyterian bells. Blacks have their Santa too. And just like their God, he is black, but always painted pale. And I stood wanting to give Christmas and all my whiteness back. Many moons ago, for Glenis Redmond. Rusty mud shoes cracking, dorsums decorated with hematite, made where I believe Satan swayed to make desiccation. Him coming up from hell to our souls, for our souls. A summertime spender who could last the distance in the boulder boots. Mars mud red, we moved elephant heavy, elephant slow. Back to the trailer, transformed with outer space, slow-mo. Grandmother met us at the ramp with a hose. Y'all dirty, ain't coming no closer. All we packed in from our mission, lost in the orbit of water. Clippings for quarters. And you know, when you lose everyone, you also tend to lose place. And so I didn't realize that grief would come extra heavy, hard hitting, when you not only lose your people, but your homes, your places. And the trailer that I was raised in was just raised a couple of months ago, which is just like the Mill Hill I'm from. That's all gone out in McAdenville. They just raised them, and you lose all those ghosts, those people, along with the place. This is called Clipping Quarters for John Gladden and his trailer park. Old man Gladden came for me on his blue tractor. He'd pull up in the yard and I'd get my things, pocket knife and silver clippers. I dug out the dirt from the turnip green fields, dirt from his plow and potted plants, dirt he couldn't get out, dirt that waited for me. I pushed the dull pocket knife back into its shell, then the silver clippers. I'd cut his nails, worrying not to cut into the quick of his old quaking fingers, careful as a little girl could be, my pink as pig fingers shaking too. I'd finish and give him a smile. We'd carry on a while on the porch with my grandparents, sit in a spell. As he'd stand to go, he'd reach into his denim overalls for my fee. A quarter for digging out the dirt, a quarter for his clean clipped nails. That was a lot of money back then. Can't get eggs for that price anymore, right?
What?
This is called Liftings. His bed was pristine clean. He was neatly tucked in. The lilies the daughter brought in were set by the off TV. Enough of this world, the rattle of reality. She spoke to him like you would a child, that soothing, loving lilt. You have visitors. He, heavy with cancer and meds, came to. He spoke in slow motion. He half smiled. The same way my brother did when he was earthbound, that his deathbed was the front seat of his home, head on steering wheel, overdosing himself out of this stifling town. Aunt Molly's was her own bed, her own secret blood pooled and seeped into the covers, but her face, a porcelain doll, fixed and ready for rapture. My mother's, a hospital bed. My sister dry washed her hair and cleaned her feet. I sang and she touched my lips. The massive stroke of the clock, the constant TV company. She slipped away, morphine mute. Now, when the phone rings, I think it is grief calling, telling of another lifting. We love Asheville, Adrian and I, and we used to come up a lot just to get out of Hickory and muck about, come into Malaprops, downtown news. We get some Indian, pinball. We love spending our time here. And this is a poem for my forever Valentine, Adrian writes, Blazed. I took him to play pinball, to grant you time to browse books, your favorite pastime, when suddenly I sunk into sorrow with the thought of a tomorrow where I alone would landmark our memories. Breathless, I was led back to the front seat of my car where I held my breath and slipped my hand into your blazer to ask your heart to beat with my heart. And we sat wordless, blazed with the car aflamed. That's all you get. Y'all, I'm a hot mess. I girl fan Glenis, I just have to say that. So I am honored. She blurbed the back of my book, so I am really honored that I'm getting to finally read with Glenis. I have a really cool story before my next poem, and then I have one more. Thank you so much for listening. When my grandmother passed, she was my everything, my cardinal loss, really, my wee red bird, you know, your cardinal loss. And when she passed, I wrote her obituary, and the Gastonia Gazette said, hey, would you be interested that we could do an article about your grandmother? Her life sounds really amazing. I said, she would be so tickled. Let's do that. And so this lady called me up, and I was doing the interview. She posted it, and she's like, it'll be online soon. Just watch out for it. Go to Google, etc. I was like, right. And I started thinking, isn't it cool back then? They don't have to worry about the internet. They're not going to be out there like that. And so I'm going to find her pretty quick, you know, her obituary and the article. But when I typed in my grandmother's name, I found a pinup of her. And I was like, okay, maybe I'm wrong about her being out there like that. And so I wrote this guy, I said, that is my grandmother. What is this about? And he said, and he was in Wales. I'm like, I know she didn't get around like that in Wales, what? And he said, it was in her old ring wrestling magazine. And I was like, oh, right. And so I said, can I have the magazine? He said, no, I collect them. So I went on eBay and found it. Y'all, this is my grandmother. Wow. Looky there, yes, you see that there? She was a gal grappler. So Charlotte was a hotbed for wrestlers. And so she, before her son was paralyzed in a car accident, she did wrestling. And so it was mostly, you know, about the girls. moving in certain ways. But one time she was doing some moves on her son in the trailer park, and the neighbors called the cops on them. And she had to prove she was a wrestler and not, mama. So this poem came out of this story that I just told you, and it's called Yours Alone. The Ring Wrestling magazine, May 1968, featured a photo of my grandmother in their galaxy of gal grapplers. The pin up, pin down, and a scissor hold of grief, my heart in permanent squeeze. The rush of the find had me searching the roll call of the hotbed of how many bouts could be had. 2 out of 3 falls. The Saturday televised ringside of the all-star eras of Flair, Rowdy Roddy Piper, Koloff, Two-Ton, Andre the Giant, Gorgeous George, Valentine, Jake the Snake, Rip Hawk, Steamboat, Magnum, The Fabulous Moolah, Blackjack, Valiant, Weaver, Rich, Young, and Wahoo, to name a few. To be without her, I'm unmasked in a squash match. I'm on the mat in a figure 4 grapevine hold. I scream, give, give. No one hears. Nobody knows. When grief is yours, it is yours alone. And my publisher, Kevin Morgan Watson at Press 53, I was really worried about those 2 numbers, 8-8, because I did not want someone to pick it up and go, yeah, some dog whistle. And so he and I and Adrian really worked hard. How can we redeem it? And so we used the words. Poets use words instead of the number. But it actually means love and kisses, as you heard from the preface. But my granddaddy was a truck driver, and he had sundowners. And so before he left the world, the only way I could communicate with my granddaddy in dementia was to use the old CB lingo that we talked when I was a child. So when he would come into range, I would get on the CB and talk to him. So this poem is me talking to him in the nursing home through the CB language. Thank you so much for listening. Breaker Diesel Smoke. That was his handle, Diesel Smoke. A convoy of memories line up down the corridor, revving up their engines for that last long haul, the magic mile. Bet you'd be happy you don't have to ride in a bone box. You already been bedded, been horizontal for a while. I wait for the 10-4, seems like the landline always sounds a sorry signal. Come back, come on, I put my face to yours, I say hello, hello, can you hear me? Got a copy, can you see me? Got your ears on, come back, granddaddy. When I ask, they only reply with how many candles you got burning. 89, he's declining. Nervous system shutting down, making them jerk. Heavily medicated, eyes in the week on the by, head in the horizon. Checking my eyelids for pinholes, I stand in the threshold and rush back each time I see his mouth move. Silent ratchet jaw, distant drone. What's your 20? Only his eyes shift when I say his other half's name, Mary Lou. Dark time. His black Velcro shoes opened and sitting on the windowsill, ready to go. Ground clouds. Follow the stripes. Home. Forever 88s. Out. Pinky. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Molly, and thank you, Mildred and Malaprops, and I've called this area home for just a couple of years now, but we were spending a lot of time kind of seasonally here as well, and this is the first time I've gotten to read locally since kind of being located here. So it's a great honor in that way, and I'm really looking forward to reading and hearing you, Glenis, as well. I'm a tiny bit nervous, but I'll try to make it. This book is the new book that I have. It's kind of tough subject matter. It's about it's written after the loss of my first daughter during labor, and in my present condition, they're a little bit tender for me to read. But like I said, we'll get through it. People have sad stories. People have sad stories. The husband died, the baby died, or they didn't die. They just stayed sick for a long, long time. Eventually they died. The pearl scraped off. The ring sunk deep into edema. In the photo, my face smiles. The lighting is executive, flattering, but the granules of my skin have no sweetness. They have spent their money. I touch my face when I go to sleep, and it is like someone is touching me. Eventually, I tip backward. Then it's another one. You can just end up with nothing in return. 4 quarters gets you a tall can of iced tea at the gas station, and then you walk off into the night. Time gets into a car like a glamorous woman in a raincoat. Lapel so big you don't see the woman, but she's there, or she was for a little while. The funeral director came to your apartment, a big question mark over her head. She had a plastic box. You wanted her to like you. Why? Today, it rained all afternoon. I ate the lunch I brought instead of the one I wanted. My husband is alive. The fist of my heart almost unclenched itself, but I caught it. If I say a word twice, that doesn't mean it's negative. I love you. No, I love you. In my regular poetry practice, I tend to write a lot about a few subject matters, and one of them is money and the force of money in our lives. Life force. Let people see you from a distance. Outside, they stand on a dune looking down. Inside, they stand on a ladder going up somewhere, and then they look back at their sad friend sitting in the middle of the living room. In the restaurant, you fork a salad around a plate, move the pieces into your mouth. They feel like pieces of a dollar bill going down your throat like you're being paid. When you eat something, you take it apart with your body. You reject most of it, but some of it has to be made into you. This is like grief. My friend goes, "Hey, I'm sorry I haven't been in touch." My husband read a book about how money is a life force, and you get to choose when to give it away. The bills I receive ask for even more money. I pay for iron pills. I pay for stool softener, but there's a bill I received that I still have not paid. Months pass. 7 months have passed at the time of this dispatch. I choose not to give away any more of my life force. I am the one with the power. A story about the nature of time. A long time in the past, a door opens. 4 young men carry a gurney with a living body on it out of a building. The body is wrapped in a sheet and bleeds onto a disposable mat. The body's fingers hold the mat in place. Its face looks toward the sky where there is no rain, only an empty eye. The men step down the stairs like large show horses in unison. The oil they emit from their bodies dissipates into the air in a metallic spritz. They put the body into a vehicle, then take it to an emergency room where it is scraped. Its liquids are low like a receding tide. Before it goes under, it feels its death drive beat inside it like a live fetus. The body wakes up, receives a bag of blood, eats iron. The iron travels through the body like a benevolent knight. The body doesn't even have to acknowledge it's being repaired. Leaning on the power of the iron, the body can rise like a shitty tower. The body climbs a stairmaster at the gym, rising above everyone else. The body has dreams even now. Sorry, I have a little cussing. If anyone's ever spent summers in New York, there's a familiar smell. Urine season. Summer in New York is urine season. Everything has an odor. The hot rain comes and hoses down the sidewalk, but the smell remains floating there as warmth on live skin. People toss bottles out of their cars and the bottles explode over the sidewalk. Or they stay closed and roll to a stop, then cook for days next to an architecturally famous building. Last time it was urine season, I was expecting. That's how you say it. You don't say what you're expecting. I didn't know what I expected, but now I know. I held my pee on every corner of this town, waiting to meet my daughter. This year, I've been watching a live stream of a falcon nest. On a ledge above the sidewalk are 3 falcon hatchlings. They wait and watch in their rocky nest, knowing that their parents will bring them smaller birds to eat. There were 4 eggs in the nest, but the 4th didn't hatch. The 3 remaining hatchlings grow larger and more dangerous each day. They rip apart tanagers and starlings as they learn the ways of predation. They shit over the edge of the building. The excrement drips down the side. Today, the falcons left. This is a poem about expectation. At the hospital, I had a catheter. It leaked on the bed, on the sheets, against my legs. Someone came in and asked where my baby was, not seeing the decal on the door. I have never felt as helpless. It's urine season again. It will be again and again. We will feel this way again. Some will say this is not a poem for them, but I say it's a poem for anyone who ever expected anything. There's a couple of forms in this book. There's like these prose poems. I never wrote prose poems before this book. And then there are these longer ones that are kind of lineated traditionally. This is one of those. Hungry Ghost. When we met to sign the paperwork, it was in a coffee shop called Hungry Ghost. The paperwork consisted of 2 certificates, and when the funeral director handed them to us to sign, her face was grim with practiced empathy. Hungry Ghost is a term from Buddhism for beings who are driven by need. And unlike regular ghosts, hungry ghosts died in unusual circumstances or in their lifetime did an evil deed. Why this is a name for a coffee shop, I don't understand. As much as I don't understand why we chose to meet the funeral director there. She had offered to bring the certificates to our apartment, but my immediate reaction was to say no, that I didn't want her inside my home, though I would later allow her in, but not yet. Hungry Ghost was full of people on laptops doing the ordinary work of their lives, scrubbing through film clips or editing an endless document like this one. All the tables were taken, so we sat in a row of 3 on a bench, a large painting of a bull behind us on the wall, the funeral director, my husband, and me. I ordered a small caffeine-free tea. I needed to order something to pretend we were there for a normal reason on this day in October, just days after my daughter came out of me not breathing. I sat behind the barrier of my husband so that I could hide my face if I needed to, and he covered me with his huge emotional wingspan, even though he was also feeling devastation. And as I signed the paper, I screamed in the silent forest of my heart, and the Queen's corpse, which was my corpse, rattled with the force of my voice. I gave the paper back, and I held my undrunk tea in my freezing hands and felt its heat radiate into the little calcium of my bones. I had been to Hungry Ghost the day before the birth. I had been feeling good. The contractions were occasional, but already strengthening. I sat with my longtime friend, who used to tell me when we were kids that I was too secretive, that I should feel okay about letting people in when I'm having a hard time, that I should let people care about me the way that I care about them. She had the barista take a picture of us, where she pointed at my belly. I saw the photo only once, but I remember exactly the way I looked in it. Dear friend, I'm having a hard time today. Just a little hydration. Water is very good for the body. Okay, facts. No, this poem's called The Animals. I wound up writing a lot about like sort of geography and animals and my place in nature. I don't know why I felt not comfort exactly, but like some sort of need to write about connection to the world in a time that I felt like deeply disconnected from everything. If a crow sees a human holding a dead crow, the crow's brain lights up with recognition. It wants to know what killed the other. The crow's response is practical. Even as it's outraged and perhaps grief-stricken, the crow wants to know how to protect itself, wants to look in the face of the creature who caused the death of another, and announce it as fact to the crow community. In human grief, the cognitive response slows as the human brain tries to understand the event. After an interruption to its sense of pattern, we always say, I didn't think things like this happened, the implication being two people like us, even though death is the only fact. But crows do not have a hard time acknowledging the fact of death. Instead, they move right into righteous anger, becoming agitated upon seeing other crows dead, and never forgetting the circumstances. We find our own ways to tolerate what happened. I would like to be agitated, to sharpen with purpose, but instead I'm slower than I was and have less clarity. I am angry and yet it does not sharpen me. I am angry and yet it slows me down. In the immediate aftermath, we were exhausted. We slept until it was dark outside. Then we rose to cry and eat. Then we slept again until it was time to wake. Even the word wake, simultaneously new and sad. I walked to the length of my apartment at night, going to pee or drink water, my absurd jelly belly deflating as I tried to understand what happened to me. I am much stronger now than I was 6, 8, 10 months ago. I can look forward toward the future if I want to, and sometimes I do. I glance across the smoky barrier at the winking eye of what's to come, even though it causes me pain to move farther away from what I consider the most emotionally significant event of my life. And I can't see the future anyway. I can only see my assumption of it. Optimistic, yet fatal. I consider myself a positive person, yes, after everything. A crow came to see me one day in the spring. It came to my bird feeder and tapped its huge beak on the plastic. I had never seen such a large bird so near my home. Afterward, my sister texted me, a good omen, and I wanted it to be. I did. In 2018, an orca carried her dead calf around with her for 17 days. News outlets referred to it as a tour of grief. After 17 days, she released the calf and continued to swim with her pod. We had to relinquish our baby's body so soon after her birth and death. There was not enough time to hold it, to feel its weight outside of me, to admire it. We gave her body back to the hospital staff. We had a small gathering, and then we went on a road trip, aimlessly driving the American South. On a road trip we called our grief tour. 17 days after we first held her, she was in a box at the funeral director's, and we were in North Carolina. That cold morning, I hiked the trail to Chimney Rock, stopping every few minutes because I was so lightheaded. I was with my family, my husband, my sisters, my mother, my brother-in-law, my niece. I was recovering from birth and from surgery. I was coming to a lookout point. I looked down the mountain. I saw an American flag, and I thought, I feel like shit. A couple of people have remarked about the humor in this book, and they're like, what's up with that? And I'm like, it's just this like grim chuckle is built into me. I can't not do it. You know, you're you, even after something like shakes your idea of you, even if you feel, it's really something coming back to yourself. Maternity coat. I walk through another winter without you. I'm wearing a coat that has another baby's spit up on it. It's a faint outline near the collar. When it comes to clothes, I am following a well-worn tenet. Dress for the job you want. Last one, free. I swim in the morning, treading water in the municipal pool until my muscles fatigue. I'm trying to loosen the knots that always wind their way tighter in my shoulders. This has nothing to do with you and everything to do with you. My arms open wide across the blue water and then close again as they near my body. It's your birthday. Today you watched from the moon as we made you a cake. Then we cried as we ate it in the living room on our new couch with the stain-resistant fabric top. The cake pan was the one I bought last year before you were born. If you were here, we would have used the same pan to make your cake. Therefore, the pan is like a scrying mirror into the other world. If I bake in it perfectly, I can see my life again. There are still people who don't know that you died. I feel a mysterious pull to hold on to those people even while I know that I can never see them again. I have been doing nothing. I have been waiting, pouring water after water into my body just to wait for it to exit like a tube. One of us said the phrase, perverse freedom. Freedom you never wanted, freedom you feel shitty about. I am free like a flyer, jammed in threes into the door of an apartment building. I am free like buy one, get one free. I'm the one you get free. Thank you.
Wow. Whew. Can we just have another round of applause for Niina and I love poetry. It's so intense and so beautiful and haunting and fitting that Poetrio is on Sunday because it's sacred. Yeah, I was gonna ask someone to take a picture of me up here because of all the books. And I don't have my entourage with me. So if somebody would just snap a picture with me around all the children's books, this is my fantasy. Did you guys, happy 5th day of Black History Month. And you see all these beautiful, have y'all, so it's a little disconcerting to be listening to the poetry and going, I want that one, and I want that one, and I want that one. And I just love the little Black Lives Matter, and then the Roberta Flack one. Have you guys seen the PBS Masters on Roberta Flack? If you haven't, I mean, I'm acting like I'm getting paid for this. And then my friend Alan Wolf with his wife Ginger West is in the audience. Those are his books right there, right, Alan? Woo woo! The Day the Universe Exploded My Head. And is that your new one? The Behold Our Magical Garden. Oh gosh. And nobody, that's Julie and I, that's our favorite one. Like we read that out loud. You can find it online, us reading it, me and Julian. I want to thank Stephanie and Mildred for this beautiful reading at Malaprop. So we give them a shout out and a round of applause. I want to say hello to Zoomland. I know you can't see me, but I see you, or you can't. You see me and I can't see you. All right, but I feel you. And I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy to be anywhere to read. I have my new entourage, my Trauma Institute people. I did a 5-day fast, juice fast. You say, wow. Yes, and I'm gonna do it again, but Ramesh, who runs the Trauma Institute, is in the house with his lovely wife. And do y'all mind standing, my Trauma Institute homies? Would y'all just stand so y'all can get, yeah, come on, just. How's that for fellowship? There to my family, you know, they come all the time. They get a break. So I am happy to be here. Those of you who don't know, I did live here in Asheville and we raised our children here. And I worked in Malaprops, I think 95, 96, never earned a paycheck. Just turned it over and picked out the books. It was not lucrative for me, but it was very fulfilling. And I see I have not recovered from my addiction of books because I just got a list of what I want to walk away with. And then also this whole thing about books, you know, I once told somebody, you know, I'll spend my last dime on a book. And he's like, that's romantic. And I was like, oh. And I think he meant it as a, you know, put down, but I took it as a compliment. I said, I am romantic. And, but I want to start off by acknowledging the grief that's in the room with the poems, because poets, we just pour ourselves out onto the page and it's powerful. And I want to thank you too for that. I'm going to read my grandmother. She was very near and dear to me, and thank you for the poem, because you know how I feel about red clay. It shows up in all of my books. And this book is called The Listening Skin. I would say it's my latest, but it's not my latest. I'm going to show you my latest. You want to do the latest? The latest is Praise Songs for Dave the Potter. So if I get time and I stop talking to you all like we're best BFFs and read some poems, I might read one poem out of that, if it's okay. Okay, so this poem is called Afro-Carolinian because that's what I think I am. There is a term called Afro-Latins, and that was coined by Frank X. Walker and Nikki Finney. And I started thinking, I'm like, I'm Afro-Carolinian. And I started using that term in the 90s. And it all has to do around my grandmother, who I'm at some point, I believe, came from the Low Country. I don't know what that connection is, but does everybody know Gullah Geechee in here? And so my grandmother always spoke in this language that I was like, you know, I was a military kid when I met her. I was 12, so she would speak and I go, huh? Mom, what did she just say? But it took a while for my ear to catch hold. So I'll just say, do you want to hear a line that I'll say in here that's kind of Gullah Geechee? Would you like to hear that? So my grandmother would say, we grind down in the morning. Y'all understand what I said? What did I say? We're going down there in the morning, right? And so this is a poem for her, Afro-Carolinian. With Carolina on my lips, I sing a quilt, a crooked stitch that weaves its way around my pie-shaped state that conjures food. Too sweet like the amber iced tea or cake, red velvet rich, too sweet like the words I was raised on. If you don't have nothing nice to say, lace it with sugar. There's always more in the South, like the 2s and the 3s coming out of my grandma's mouth. Hush your mouth, child. These words were not a command for silence, but a signal for the teller to keep on spinning because her words hit bone. Grandma's words were codes, lit lanterns. We going down yonder in the morning. Not a pronouncement to a destination, but a place where she teach a lesson at her favorite fishing spot. By her foot, a coffee can full of night crawlers. In her mouth, a cigarette she barely puffed. In her hands, a homemade fishing rod, lying steep in the water, waiting for hook tug. She never said words like patience, just stood live oak-like, grounded in her own wisdom, a Baptist Buddha woman teaching be here. Thank you. Her uncanny way taught me how to wait on the spirit, hunched in her favorite recliner, King James Bible on the left, her eyes forward, soaking in wrestling. Her faith rooted in the Lord and Ricky Steamboat. I was wrapped in how she would contort herself as if she were headlocking demons, choke holding them in Jesus' name. Simultaneously burning tufts of hair in a glass ashtray, raked from her comb so no one would work a root. Grandma taught me the truth was a complex helix rising. From her, I learned to watch as well as pray, and how the shackles speak in double tongues. As a second daughter of a second daughter, I began life as a shame-faced girl, too shy to string together words. I did not open my mouth until I had something to say. I was busy looking in grown folks' mouths, collecting the old ways, placing them on my tongue. My first language was scratched from the land, sweet potatoes, collards, and black-eyed peas, a second daughter of a second daughter. I straddled the abyss of the diaspora and the church pew, where I learned to speak Afro-Carolinian fluidly. Some call it a backwards tongue. I call it a spiritual that will carry you forward if you listen and learn how to sing it. So I thought I was gonna get the Shebro Award, like having had rotator cuff surgery like 2 weeks ago and riding up in Asheville, but Niina, I'm gonna pass it to you. Cause aren't you like 2 weeks out? I mean, the baby's coming in 2 weeks, like, wow, much respect. I'm gonna read this poem called Ode to What's Owed. I'm gonna read some poems that I don't read a lot. So funny how you write a book and then you have your favorite poems or go-to poems. And I'm like, why are you doing that? Like, you love them all. But so this one doesn't get much play, but it's all related to my grandmother. I think everything I write is related to my grandmother one way or the other. Those of you who don't know the story, my grandmother was 109 when she passed. And I don't know, even though she's gone, I feel like she's always speaking to me. So this is called Ode to What's Owed, a Stitch in Time. The foot-pedal singer soul machine sits still in Mama's dining room, sings a song older than anyone in the house. Not the electric tune, but the tick-tock music of a clock. I muse on how you pulse when fed fabric by grandma's mahogany know-how hands, making whatever she imagined. Calico curtains, flower sack dresses, cast off, stitched together to make quilts. Now you stand for decoration, not duty, draped in doilies. But if I lean in, I can make out a steady pluck, feel the push and pull of patching and piecing. It sounds like a holy choir, a homespun quilt of all the women who begat. Angelina begat Hannah, Hannah begat Rachel, Rachel begat Katie, Katie begat Janie, Jeanette, and Dorothy. Janie begat Lucille, Queen, and Lisa. Dorothy begat Denise. Jeanette begat Belinda and Glenis. Belinda begat Onisha and Donna. Glenis begat Celeste and Amber. Celeste begat Paisley and now Quinn. We all began by hand. Mother teaching daughter how to pierce the eye of the needle, spear the tip with spit. Then how to knot the thread with thumb and index finger roll. You are silent, but your plotting is in my blood. Though I never worked your craft, I pick up the ink pen, make quilts from tattered memories. Now I stand in front of people speaking poetry, clad in a dress sewn by all my mothers, swathed in patches of yam, indigo, and cotton, stretched from Cameroon to why did I do that? From Cameroon to the Carolinas, tightened with stitches, held fast from humble gatherings. I hope my daughter does not watch that because she was giving me a mean mug. She was giving me the stink eye when I was leaving. You know you're not supposed to be driving. You're not bossing me. Okay. 32. This poem is called I Stay Sick. I don't read it much. Mama says, if it ain't one thing,
It's another.
y'all should catch on by now. If it ain't one thing, it's two. I was born half-baked and with a hernia at my core. Sickness ran through and through me, a red thread pinning one ailment to another. I remember a friend once telling me, you've always been sickly. Ever not see something in yourself until someone points it out? She was right. I felt both ill and cursed. With my crooked spine, fractured coccyx, and Osgood slaughtered limbs. After every meal, my colon contracted. Our family knew nothing about how healthy foods could be poisoned. Lactose intolerant, allium intolerant, onions and garlic, really? With IBS, I can't digest water. Everything swallowed goes down like stone. The Redmond stomach, we call it to be expected. As a teenager, I always had a throat full of white pus, strep-coated, prescribed antibiotics for 7 years, killed what little immunity I possessed. When I was a young adult, the doctor finally removed my tonsils twice. The second set, sublingual. Allergies, bronchitis in the spring, asthma. The cat must have stolen my breath in the crib. Veining spells, vagal nerve response, menstrual flow like lava, remove the uterus and ovaries, early menopause at age 37. Remove the gallbladder after an attack, pain a constant companion. Everywhere I go, she be. In head and throat and stomach and back and ass and knee and feet, sieve for a bladder, wrist riddled with electricity, carpal tunnel, ulnar nerve damage, fibromyalgia, finally the big shoe drops. Cancer. Stage 3, multiple myeloma. I should have seen it coming. I didn't. My daughter sends me Resilience, the ACEs, the Adverse Child Experience documentary, and quiz. She says, I think you will find yourself in it. I scored a 10. The research claims adults with trauma-filled childhoods will develop debilitating health issues. I concur. When I go to the doctor, they hand me paperwork with a chart to locate my pain. I can't pinpoint it. I X my whole body, my entire life. Learning how to run. Those of you who don't know, in my past, I was a sprinter. 100 meters, 200, last leg of the 400-meter relay. So y'all know what that means. I was fast. But that, people are like, do you still run? I'm like, do I look like I'm running 100 meters or 200? I'm like, you know, I get around, I'm hobbling, y'all. This one is called Learning How to Run, and it's dedicated to my brother. We shared an affinity for reading. I read books and he was into comic books, and then he was into sci-fi. And I did not follow him there because I didn't understand sci-fi until I read Octavia Butler. And if you haven't read Octavia Butler, please purchase a copy. My favorite book by her is Kindred. What I understood about science fiction then was that science fiction wasn't about the future. It was about a commentary on what's happening to us today. And then I was like, oh, now I got it. You know, it took me a while. Sometimes I'm slow. Okay, learning how to run. Before teaching me to run, you taught me how to listen. Remember when I didn't want to buy track shoes for tryouts and I just wanted to run in my old Chuck Taylors? I asked you, what if I ain't any good? And you said, trust me. I did. We went to Sam White's, brought pearl white Pumas. You taught me how to tighten my cleats, how to walk in like I own the place, even when we didn't have what mama said, a bucket to piss in or a window to throw it out of. You taught me how to be humble, how to pitch my weight forward, how to anticipate the gun, how to get on my mark, get set, and all right, you got it. How to come out of the blocks low and early, how to stay in my own lane, how to fall, but how to get back up, how to ignore haters, but definitely talk trash if needed. So when some white runners on Southside's track team called me a nigger, you had already taught me this pocket ready reply. I'm not a nigger, I'm a Negro. When I become a nigger, I'll let you know. You taught me how to stay focused on the finish line, how to be propelled by the wind, how to kick at the end, how to respect what God gave me, fast twitch muscles and a need for speed, how to race only against the clock, how to win, how to lose and not think my life is over. Because tomorrow, there's always another race. How to know track is a sport, but also a philosophy. How to run and not get weary. How to put one foot before the other. How to lean into life head first. Are you okay with 2 more poems? And then a spare from here. Okay, so let me move. This is so I've had 3 books come out in the last year. But as I was going through a stem cell transplant, as I was going, I leaned on what I've always leaned on, writing. It got me through, and my grandchildren, specifically my grandson Julian, who insists on being called Sidon, but that's a whole nother story. Okay, so I wrote a chapbook called The Three Harriets. Harriet E. Wilson, do y'all know her? First African American novelist. Because we know the most famous Harriet. Who's the most famous Harriet? Tubman. So we know Harriet Tubman, right? And then there's Harriet E. Wilson, first novelist. Harriet Jacobs. From Edenton, North Carolina, the enslaved woman who hid in her attic for 7 years from her owner. Yeah, that's a wow. Yeah. And then she escaped and became an abolitionist and a writer. Like Incidents of a Slave Girl would be her book. So, and then Harriet E. Wilson's book is called Our Neg. That's 1800. So check out their works. I mean, it's really good. They're really powerful.
Both on Gutenberg.
Pardon?
Both are on Gutenberg.org.
Y'all heard that? Both are on Gutenberg.org. So I don't like to pick Harriet's, like I don't like to pick favorite children, but Harriet Tubman looks like my grandmother. And when I hear her talk, like through her work, like everything I've read of her, she sounds like my grandmother. So when I wrote about her, I felt like she kind of like came in, and we did a performance where people, my friend, Dr. Lynette Overby, who is a professor at University of Delaware, had our undergraduates dance the Harriets. And I said, Harriet Tubman, they're like, we can tell she was your favorite. So here's me, here's Harriet. Spells for zero catchers. Conduct like I ain't trying to die. Lead when the moon new, sky dark. Listen to what on my inside, cause it don't lie. When my chest flutters, I know danger lurks. Change course. No, I can't die but once, but ain't trying to do that just yet. Don't speak on nothing. No peacocking, proud talk, get you dead. No need for I did this and I did that, blend into tree trunk. Travel in winter, buy time. Saturday night rewards for runaways, not in paper till Monday morning. Got a whole day before we spec we gone. Read people and the land like white people read books. When I have a spell, shout not. Don't fight deep sleep. Go into the body quake. Vision and dreams be how God directs my path. Follow the map that my inside knows. Let God talk. No open field in daylight. Know the codes like I know the woods. Light in window. No trails. Cover footsteps. Don't give in to thoughts of coon dogs and guns. Quiet steps. Silence. Give babies the root. Paregoric. My grandma Modesty came over on the boat from Africa. She knew the earth holds medicine. Listen to the old ways. Don't tarry. Make friends of weary and tired. They don't leave no how. You'll be free or die. Don't turn back. Trust the Quakers, but carry a loaded gun anyhow. Curse slavers. Never wound a snake, kill it. God's time, emancipation is always near. He set the North Star in the heavens. He gave me strength in my limbs to follow where his light leads. Frida Kahlo poem. This is me. I'm a Frida Kahlo fangirl. And when I was in Hawaii, working in Hawaii, like everywhere I went, like I would get a classroom, there was a poster of Frida. Like everywhere I turned, it was Frida, Frida, Frida. And then my host was like, oh, I'm gonna take you to dinner. Where did she take me? Frida Kahlo restaurant. I said, okay, Frida, I'm coming for you. So this is the poem I wrote, imagining Frida Kahlo as my life coach. Number one, woman, draw yourself in, but always in layers. Note, jewel tones of ruby and azure contrast brilliantly against brown hues. The world will tell you how the self-portrait and the first person I do not matter. My paintings beg to differ. They thought I was a surrealist, but I wasn't. I never painted dreams. I painted my reality. Create your crucial cartography. Go against the shallow gray. In craft and within yourself. See how my eyebrows meet? Proving beauty does not have to be pruned. Make your own standards of loveliness. To honor my long line of mothers, or on my mother's side, I cloaked myself in the isthmus of Tehuantepec. I braided my hair in an updo crown, adorn my lobes and chest with the jewels of Oaxaca. Take heed and revere your African Southern Cherokee foremothers. Wear talismans from each line, from direction and protection. Let them see what you want them to see. To deflect my flaws and fractures, I wrap myself in rebozo shawls and don Tijuana dresses and long skirts. Appearances are meant to be deceiving. 2, go within. Slice beyond skin. 30 operations could take me nowhere but within. I turned pain into inspiration. When the pole pierced my pelvis, I took my bedridden sentence as a license to paint. Create at all costs. Do not cave, even though cancer and fibromyalgia cling to you. Don't throw the monkeys off your back. Bid them to sit on your arms and shoulders. Draw them in. Do not flinch from what you see with the inner landscape. Grandmother Death held my hand daily. I see you, Sister Mystic, how you comport with death. Follow the vain territory, exhibit your extracted heart, be brave, wild woman, cast out hurt. Sheared my head in mourning, my love for him made me falter. Miscarriages created caverns. Whatever you do, do not offer your heart on a silver platter to anyone unless it's an even exchange. Damn Diego, that toad-eyed glutton. He killed me countless times. Nevertheless, mi amor, his artist's eye could only see me in parts. Pear-shaped ass, elongated nape of neck, and the hue of my skin the color of adobe. He shouts, Viva la revolution for the people, but he could not see the person right in front of me. With my sister, you predictable philanderer, curse him for my love, for him curse me. 4, exercise. I blurred every line, especially with sex. Dressed in men's suits, smoked cigars, loved women, drank tequila straight, spread legs wide when sitting to know what it felt like to take up space as a man. Did not give a damn about who and what I broke, even myself. Do not do as I did. Do not break yourself more than life breaks you. 5, direct gaze into yourself. See straight through the other side. Mythologize. Put yourself back together the best you can. With paint, with pen, with purpose. Even with your chemotherapy, withered, bald head self, don't flinch. Reinvent. With one leg gone, I flung the limb. I adapted the adage, why do I need feet when I got wings? Whenever facing the impossible, never say die. Unfurl, fling, flare, fly. I should stop there.
This is why I love coming here every first Sunday of the month. Thank you so much.